Hey folks, this is Rhykker with a gaming news wrap-up video where we discuss the happenings of the week. This week's topics include an update on Diablo 4's pay-to-win situation, new details about Bethesda's upcoming RPG Starfield, Activision Blizzard concluding its internal misconduct review, and more. As always, discussion timestamps can be found in the video description below. But right before you skip ahead, just a quick reminder to ring that sub notification bell to be alerted to new Saturday episodes and stay up to date with gaming news highlights. Now, before we move on, just a quick word from this video's sponsor, NordVPN. A VPN is an important tool for keeping your data secure and encrypted on the internet, and I don't dare connect to public Wi-Fi without first enabling my VPN. You can also use a VPN to get around region block content by picking a server in a different country, and NordVPN has over 5,400 servers in 59 different countries. And it's so user-friendly that you're basically one click away from hiding your IP or browsing the web from a different country. And one account lets you connect up to 6 devices, be they computers, phones, tablets, you name it. And NordVPN just recently launched a new cybersecurity feature on their desktop app, Threat Protection. Once enabled, Threat Protection will protect you against malicious websites, malware, trackers, and intrusive ads, even when you're not connected to a VPN server. It'll scan files you download and automatically detect and delete malware. It'll block intrusive and malicious ads, and it'll even ensure your privacy by stopping trackers from building a profile on you. So take control of your internet experience today with NordVPN. Right now, you can get a 2-year plan at a huge discount plus 1 additional month for free when you go to nordvpn.com/Rhykker. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/RHYKKER, or click the link in the description below. In our first quick story, Dragon's Dogma 2 was announced this week. This was revealed during the live stream celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the first game. We don't have a release date or many details, but for fans of hack-and-slash action role-playing games, this is worth keeping an eye on. In other quick news, Valheim is coming to the Microsoft Store and Xbox with full crossplay, including with Steam. The game still is in early access, but you can get dozens of hours of fun out of it, even in its current state, if you like survival sandbox games. I particularly enjoyed crafting giant Viking longhouses. I'm not big on survival games themselves, but I really like being able to creatively build things, so I tend to stay back building the home while my buddies go off scavenging. In other news, we learned that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the second game in the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, is coming next winter on PS5. And yes, you got that right. This was also confirmation that this will be a trilogy. It's a good time to be a Final Fantasy fan. Final Fantasy XVI releases summer 2023, then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will release in late 2023 or early 2024, and at some point, there's also going to be Final Fantasy XIV's new expansion and major update. In some quick Baldur's Gate news, the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 re-release will be launching this summer. The formerly console-exclusive hack-and-slash action RPG will be coming to PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch, and it'll support up to 4K resolution and local 2-player co-op. That's right, even the PC version will have local co-op, something that is sorely lacking in PC gaming these days. Dark Alliance 2 first released in 2004. It was well received by critics, but a planned sequel ended up getting cancelled while in early development due to legal issues over the use of the game engine, which led to the publisher Interplay having some financial troubles, which led to the developer Black Isle shutting down. We also got this week an update on Stalker 2. We got a new trailer along with an update that the game is being delayed to the first half of 2023. And given the devs are based out of Kiev, Ukraine, that's the most reasonable video game delay I have ever heard in my life. The original plan was to release Stalker 2 in April of this year, but that was postponed to December 8th, back in January of this year, and now it was quietly revealed that it's being pushed to 2023. In some Activision Blizzard news, the company released this week a summary of an internal review that it conducted. In this review, Activision Blizzard investigated Activision Blizzard about workplace issues and found that Activision Blizzard didn't do anything wrong. The company said, quote, "The review shows that media criticism of the board and Activision Blizzard senior executives as insensitive to workplace matters is without merit. Contrary to many of the allegations, the board and its external advisors have determined that there is no evidence to suggest that Activision Blizzard senior executives ever intentionally ignored or attempted to downplay the instances of gender harassment that occurred and were reported. Now we should clarify that technically this was a board of independent directors that made this review, but they were a board of independent directors put together by Activision Blizzard. Wouldn't we all be so lucky as to be able to pick our own judges and juries? I'm sure there's no bias there. In some Overwatch 2 news, we learned over the past week that not only is the game releasing on October 4th, but that it's going to be free to play. Not just free to play, but also free of loot boxes. I was quite surprised. The game will instead move to a battle pass monetization model, where instead of getting cosmetics randomly through loot boxes that you can either earn in-game or buy with money, you will instead earn specific cosmetics along a battle pass track. The devs also released a roadmap of planned content moving forward, and it looks like Overwatch 2 will launch with 3 new heroes, 6 new maps, and a new game mode, and they want to release 3 to 4 new heroes and 3 to 4 new maps per year. The game will operate in 9-week seasons, and at the start of every season, Blizzard will release another hero, map, or game mode as a free update to the game. Game director Aaron Keller said, quote, "We've taken a lot of measures over the last few years to grow the team to be able to handle the amount of work it's going to take. We're over 3 times the size we were when the game first launched." Overwatch 2 will also have crossplay and cross-progression between its platforms. Beta begins June 28th, and the campaign mode update will be coming sometime in 2023. And if I had to guess, I'd imagine the campaign mode will be a paid add-on. I'd be really surprised if they give that away for free. But more information about the Battle Pass and in-game shop, like prices, will come later this year. In some Bethesda news, we learned more about Starfield and even a bit about Fallout 5 this week. We got confirmation that Starfield is a first-person perspective game with a silent protagonist, meaning you will not hear your character's voice. I have mixed feelings about silent protagonists overall. In general, I think when you have a silent protagonist, the story will tend to be weaker than if you had a fully voiced protagonist with good voice acting really embodying the character. However, I think in games where immersion is really important and arguably more important than story, like in a Bethesda game, where one of the core pillars of the game is to be able to self-insert and feel like you are living in this world, and you're creating your own story, your own way through the game, then I think having a silent protagonist can really help with that experience, help deliver that immersion. Now in Fallout 4, they had a voiced protagonist, but the real problem was not that there was a voiced protagonist, but that the voice line options were much more bare bones and hardly meaningful compared to what we've come to expect from these types of games. But Starfield will have over 200,000 lines of dialogue, which is almost double what Fallout 4 had. It just feels like Starfield is a return to the crunchy RPG roots of Bethesda games, with more player choice in character building and customization. From what we're seeing with the ability to pick backgrounds and traits, it seems we can expect more RPG elements in Starfield than were present in Fallout 4 or Skyrim. One of the starting traits involved having parents that are still alive, but you have to send them 10% of your income. Presumably, you gain some benefit in return, we're not sure what yet. Another trait lets you start out with a house, but you have a mortgage to pay. So you really can, in this game, live out the wildest fantasies imaginable, like home ownership. We know that Starfield will include more handcrafted content than any Bethesda game before it, along with a procedurally generated galaxy. And apparently it will be easy for players to know whether there is gameplay content worth exploring on a planet, or whether it's more of a filler planet. But don't worry, those filler planets will be a modder's heaven, according to Bethesda director Todd Howard. The game will have 1,000 explorable planets, but they're meant to be a detour from the main game, not the main game itself. We also learned that you will not be able to fly seamlessly from the surface of a planet up into space. It will be 2 separate instances. Howard said, quote, "People have asked, can you fly the ship straight down to the planet? No. We decided early in the project that the on-surface is one reality, and then when you're in space, it's another reality." Which, honestly, that's pretty fair. Yeah, it would be nice, but the game is already trying to be a lot of things. It's not meant to be a space simulator. However, you will be able to fight and disable enemy ships, dock with them, board them, and capture them, so that's pretty cool. Howard also super casually dropped some Fallout 5 news. He said, quote, "Yes, Elder Scrolls 6 is in pre-production, and you know, we're going to be doing Fallout 5 after that. So our slate's pretty full going forward for a while. We have some other projects that we look at from time to time as well. So Starfield releases in 2023, And going by Bethesda's track record, that means we could be seeing Elder Scrolls 6 by around 2027, and Fallout 5 by around 2034? Onto some Diablo news, starting quickly with Diablo 2 Resurrected. A big banwave hit cheaters this week, mostly those using map hacks, but allegedly some botters as well. Bravo. In Diablo 4 news, we spoke about in our previous video how Diablo's community lead Adam Fletcher confirmed that there would not be pay to win in Diablo 4. His comment again specifically was, quote, D4 is coming out as a full-price game built strictly for PC and console audiences. The game is huge and there will be tons of content after launch for all players. Paid content is built around optional cosmetic items and eventually full expansions. We will be sharing more info soon. And some of you were quick to point out that this statement does not in fact say that Diablo 4 will not be pay to win. It implies it, but it leaves enough wiggle room to add in some pay to win elements while being able to honestly claim that they never lied. And yes, this is technically correct. I cannot deny that this does not outright say that there will not be any pay to win. And GM of the Diablo franchise, Rod Ferguson, chimed in after Fletcher, repeating something very similar. He said, quote, to be clear, D4 is a full-price game built for PC, PS, and Xbox audiences. We are committed to delivering an incredible breadth of content after launch for years to come, anchored around optional cosmetic items and full story-driven expansions. More details soon. Again, yes, the language of anchored around or built around optional cosmetic items does not mean consists solely of optional cosmetic items, so something that is 90% cosmetics and 10% pay to win is still anchored around cosmetics. I can't deny the possibility that these guys are deliberately misleading us through willful malintent with the full knowledge that this will cause a massive backlash in the future. I still choose to believe that the spirit of the message means that there will not be pay to win in Diablo 4, while I am acknowledging the possibility that there is some degree of corporate doublespeak happening here. However, we won't have to wait until release to find out what the answer is. On Reddit, when people were discussing this, Adam Fletcher chimed in and added, quote, as mentioned in my tweet, we will have all the info and details later. Just tough when people piecemeal it off 280 character limits. I think this will be a great topic for the team to hit on with our Q3 blog to go through everything in exact detail. We'll discuss with the greater team to see if we can even expedite it so we aren't truly waiting a full quarter even. When he was pressed on this reply, he added, quote, I mean that it's hard to go through everything in 280 character tweets, and people will quote tweet specific tweets out in the thread if we threaded it out without reading the whole thread, so it just makes sense for us to go over it all in a longer and larger format and with every little bit of detail so you are all in the know. So, whether you think one thing or the other, we should get clarity on this soon enough, with full details long before D4 releases, so you can decide then whether you want to be angry or not. Maybe the reason they didn't want to literally use the term pay to win is because they intend to sell stash tabs. And while most people don't consider that pay to win, some people do, and then they'd call them liars. Or maybe they don't want to use the term pay to win because it will be pay to win. I don't know, but I choose to be optimistic. And the fact that Overwatch 2 is removing loot boxes from the game is, I believe, a good indication of where Blizzard is headed with PC and console gaming. But again, we'll find out soon enough. And in case you missed it, we found out at the Microsoft and Bethesda showcase last weekend that Diablo 4's 5th class will be the Necromancer. The game will release in 2023. We covered this in our video over here, to be sure to have checked that out for the full details and to find out why I believe D4 will not just release in 2023, but within 12 months of today. Then on Monday, we got the quarterly update showcasing some of the Necromancer's skills. Do be sure to have checked that out as well. Necromancer's looking very cool. Then we got throughout the week a few more details emerged from interviews. Game Informer has some footage showcasing PvP and a world boss fight. Looks really cool. In the PvP footage, I think we're seeing a team PvP, and I believe enemy spell effects have a red tint in order to distinguish them from your team's spell effects, which is a great solution because when there's just a bunch of effects going off and you can't tell which is a bad circle and which is a good circle, that's not good for gameplay. Then the world boss looks like Diablo 4's version of Diablo 3's Greed. I do encourage you to check out the footage for yourselves, link in the description. Other details that I'll reiterate here. We know that Diablo 4 has a 35-hour campaign before you get into endgame stuff. Most people should be around level 45 once they're done with the campaign. We know that there will be a Paragon board, but you are capped at 200 Paragon points. And it seems like you start getting these at level 50. You're going to get about 4 Paragon points per level up until level 100. And 100 is the max level. There's going to be 3 world bosses at launch. The Treasure Beast, which we just saw. Ashava, the world boss we first saw in the BlizzCon 2019 demo. And another one that hasn't been revealed yet. I personally expect that Diablo 4 beta is going to begin in early September. And that's going to wrap up this week's video. But do be sure to have checked out our last video in which we discussed all the reveals from last week's not E3 presentations. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it. Check out these other videos and subscribe to join Rhykker's Raiders for more gaming content.